So in yesterday's class, we took a pause here. Everybody gave the answer of this particular question. And today we'll start with the loss function of perceptron model. Okay. So if you recall, this is something we did for MP neuron also. And the loss function for MP neuron was squared error loss. Okay. In this particular case also, we can go ahead with the square error loss, but in this case, we'll be choosing the another kind of loss, which is represented by this indicator variable, right? And this indicator variable symbol is something like this. L is equals to 1. In subscript, you're having y not equal to y cap. So whenever you see any paper or any article with this notation, don't get confused. This is nothing but it's a very simple loss function of perceptron model. So how do we interpret this loss notation? So my loss is 1 when my actual label is not equal to my predicted level, right? So when my y is not equal to y cap, in that case, my loss is 1, else it is 0. So this is nothing but it is just expressing the if else condition in more concise way, right? So this is the loss function for perceptron model. Now, why did we choose this for perceptron model? Because in case of perceptron model, yesterday we can say that it is capable of handling the real input also, right? So what? So in this case, the perceptron loss would be differ than square error loss, because the square error loss in case of MP neuron will be always 0 or 1, right? But in case of perceptron, it will be also again 0 and 1. But when my output is Boolean, in that case, my square error loss and my perceptron loss is same. Is this point clear to you? Let's see this example here. See, these are my input features, weight and screen size of my phone. This y is the actual label, right? And this y cap is my predicted label. So in this case, my target is Boolean, right? It is 0 or 1. So in this case, you'll see that my perceptron loss is equal to square error loss. This square error loss is coming from MP neuron. You see that my actual label is equal to predicted label. So my perceptron loss is 0, square loss is also 0. But when is the difference? When my prediction is not matching with the target label, actual label, in that case, my loss is 1. Right? So the point which I'm trying to make here is, if I'm dealing with classification problem where my target is discrete, for example, binary output, either 0 or 1, in that case, my perceptron loss and square error loss are one and the same thing. Clear? Now, why do we use loss function? This is something we have answered in the previous class also, to check whether my performance of model is good or bad, right? So if I give you 100 test cases, right, and your perceptron loss is, let's say, 70, that means what? Your model is accurate only 30% of time, right? If your model is not doing any misclassification, in that case, what would be your perceptron loss? It would be 0, right? But in this case, what I said, if your perceptron loss is 70, that means what? In the 70 cases, it has failed to predict the actual target label. That means what? Only 30% of the time it is making the correct prediction. And the accuracy of model, you can say, is at 30%, which is not at all a good model, because even if we'll go with our random guess, the probability of making the right answer is 50% of time, right? So this loss function is helps you to evaluate whether the performance of your model is good or bad. Is this clear?
Yes.
Answer me this question quickly. Why is the perceptron loss function said to be similar to that of squared error loss? Option 1, the formula for both the loss looks almost same. If you plot the table with predicted and actual
I think
output.
option B.
Option B? Yeah, option B is the correct answer. Okay, now coming to the most important part of today's lecture, which is the learning algorithm. Right? So if you recall, in case of MP neuron, we just said that the learning algorithm is nothing but the brute force approach. We were changing the value of B one after the other, and we were accepting that particular value of B where my loss was minimum, right? But in case of perceptron model, we do not have only B as learning parameter. We have few more parameters also. We have weights also to learn, right? So here the learning is slightly complicated. We cannot go with the brute force approach because here the value W1, W2 can be infinite, right? It can be 0.1, 0.2. Unlike the MP neuron case where the value of B was integer value between 0 and n, right? So for sure, we cannot apply brute force approach in case of perceptron model, right? If we'll apply, the learning will become impractical problem. Your system will run forever to get the optimal value of this W1, W2, and B. So what? We have to rely on some principled approach, for figuring out the optimal value of these learning parameter, right? So what we do in case of perceptron learning, first of all, we randomly initialize the value of these parameters. I'll say the value of W1 is 0.1, the value of W2 is 0.2, the value of B is 0.3. Whatever I'll wish, I'll assign some value to these, right? After that, what I do is I iterate over the data. So this is my data part, right? I'll iterate over this, my data frame. First of all, I will pick this particular row, the first row, right? I'll compute the loss, right? How would I compute the loss? How would I compute the loss? I will multiply this weight with this screen size, right? I'll check if it is greater than my threshold. That threshold is the B value. If it is greater than my threshold, I'll assign it as 1, else 0. And I'll check with my actual target label. If it is matching, my loss is 0. If it is not matching, my loss is 1, right? So I need to iterate one by one over my rows. I need to compute loss in each case, right? And then update the value of this W1, W2, and B, right? This I need to keep on doing until I see the model has clearly classified all my negative label as one side. When I say negative label, it is the rows where my target is 0, right? So this process I have to keep on doing until my algorithm has learned to segregate my points, all positive point one side, all negative point other side, right? Now there's a one important fundamental concept here. If I do this update one by one for each of my row, right? So that process is called stochastic gradient descent. Stochastic approach, we call it. Whereas if I do update once going through all of my data, then it is called batch update, right? Is this concept clear to you?
Can you repeat it once?
Sure. See, what I said is iterate over the data. So this is my data, right? This is the weights associated with my feature. For this example, I'm considering only one feature, that is the screen size. And this is my target, actual target, right? So first of all, what I'm doing is I'm computing loss in each of my row. How would I compute the loss? I'll multiply my weight with my screen, right? And then I'll check whether it is greater than my threshold. The threshold is B. If it is greater, then my output will be 1, else it will be 0, right? If my predicted value is matching with the actual target, the loss is 0, else it would be 1, right? So I have to compute loss. That loss can be either 0 or 1, right? And after that, I have to update the value of W1, W2, B, right? So then I have to update these parameter values. Okay. Now, if I do this update for each of my row, that process called stochastic process. If I do this update for once for this data set, what I do is I iterate over these rows, I compute the loss for this data set. Instead of computing this loss at each row, I am computing the loss for this data set. I'll compute one loss for this entire 4 row, right? And then I'll update the value of my parameter once after traveling through these 4 row. That process is called batch. In simple word, if I'm making this update every time when I'm visiting this row, that process is called stochastic. If I'm updating my values or parameter once after visiting through all the rows of my data, then it is called batch update. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Now, come on, give me the answer for this question. Our goal in the learning algorithm is to ensure that the loss is minimized to the smallest possible value, say 0 loss. What do we do if our loss never gets 0, exactly 0.0?
Third option.
Yep, third option is the correct one. Because see, it is very unlikely that you will be able to segregate all points properly. There will be always one or two misclassification, which is perfectly fine. We never expect that our model will give 100% accurate result, 100% prediction with full accuracy, right? So it is okay if the model is not able to classify few points out of your given data set. Okay. Now, so this slide is continuation of this one. Here I said that I'll be making some update, right? Now, but I did not tell you what update I have to make. Okay. So this is the detailed description of that slide, right? If you want to use deep learning as a black box, you can live with this concept, right? You need not to worry about what update you are making at the back end. The package that you are running, it will do it for you. You just need to understand what the process looks like. So this slide explains you the process, right? If you are more focused on application part, maybe you will not care about the operations that are happening in the backend. But if you want to understand how updates are being made, this is a slide I'm going to explain. Okay. So before I actually explain the algorithm step by step, let me make certain adjustment to our existing formula, right? So this is the formula we are having. This is the hypothesis we are having for perceptron, right? Y cap summation Wi xi greater than B. I hope this hypothesis is clear to you by now, right? Now, I'm just making some simple adjustment I'm just throwing this B from RHS to LHS. The sign will change, right? After that, what adjustment I'm doing? I'm saying that let this minus B is equal to W0, and I'm saying that X0 is equal to 1, right? If I make this assumption, can I write this Y cap equal to W0 X0 plus summation of Wy Xi, where I varies from 1 to n?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, from this, can I make this adjustment? Initially, my index was varying from 1 to n, but since now I am having W0 and X0 in my expression, I can make this adjustment I is equal to 0 to n.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this adjustment is clear to you now. Instead of saying this, I can say this also is correct, right? And if I have to get rid of the summation sign, right, what I can do is, in the previous class, if you remember, I told that W is one vector, X is this vector, right? And W transpose X is nothing but W dot X. So, and W dot X was equivalent to this expression. So if I have to get rid of the summation sign, I can write this in this particular notation, W transpose into X greater than equal to 0. All these things I'm making just to make my uh, calculation easy.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So this was the raw material required to consume this part. Okay, so now I think you have the raw material. We can jump into the algorithm part. Okay, so I'm saying that P is all the input where my actual target is 1, right? So again, we'll stick to the same example of mobile phone. So P is all, record of all the phones which you actually liked, right? And we have represented our like as 1, dislike as 0, right? N is the set of all my observation where my target value is 0. Okay. So this notation just to simplify the computation. Now, first of all, what I said, I'll initialize my value of W1, W2 B randomly. So initialize W randomly. Okay. Now, while not convergence, I mean, we have to keep on this step. Whatever you see from peak to end, we have to keep on doing this step until we meet the convergence. What I meant by saying convergence is we have to keep on doing this step until I do not see any change in my loss, right? So two situations can happen. Either my loss has become 0, which means what? I have clearly able to segregate my positive point and negative point, right? The case 2 could be the point which is given to me is not linearly separable and my decision boundary is dangling between few points of positive and negative. So in that case also the loss will not change, right? It will remain 1 or 2. That means the model has done its best possible job, but still there are 2 or 3 points which has not clearly classified into their respective bucket, right? So this process we have to keep on doing until when? Until we meet the convergence. Okay, so you understood what is the concept of convergence. Convergence doesn't mean that I have to segregate all my positive point and negative point with 100% accuracy. It is okay if some of the points I'm not able to segregate, because it is possible in real life situation that you will not get the perfectly linearly separable point. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm saying is pick any point, pick any random point X from your data. So this P union N means what? It is a set of all observation in my data set. So pick any random observation from your data set, right? And check what is its target value. So what I'm saying is, let us say I have given you a data set of 100 different phones, right? And you have given me your corresponding decisions for each phone, whether you like that phone based on the specs or you did not like the phone. Now I'm saying that pick any random observation from it, any random row, and check whether you actually liked that phone or did not like the phone. So if you have already liked that phone, but when you applied this function of perceptron, when you apply this hypothesis equation of perceptron, what you get? You get your result of computation as negative. That means what? Your model will say that the output would be 0. The model will predict that you will not like the phone, but you have already liked that phone. Then this is the case of misclassification, right? In that case, you have to update the value of W by adding W plus X. Is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear to me.
Is that right? Is clear to you?
Yes, Ashish.
Yeah. The same thing will happen for negate. Same thing will happen if suppose you pick a random point and the actual target label of that point was 0, but your model predicted it should be classified as 1, right? In that case, what is your misclassification? -1. That means what? The weight will update by subtracting weight with the corresponding observation, right? So this plus, so my weight will get added to X when actually the target was 1, but my model said it will be 0. But my weight will get subtracted. This X will get subtracted to my weight when the point which I have taken is actually having target as 0, but my model said it should be 1, right? So don't get confused that we'll be always adding W and X. It depends upon this case. For this case, we will add, but when it is instead of we will have N, we will subtract. Is this algorithm absolutely clear to you?
Yes.
Okay. Then answer me this question. Generally, the bias term B is said to be equivalent to W0X0 with X0 equal to 1. This is just because it helps in generalizing the summation formula a bit more. Is it true or false?
False.
It is true actually. See, here when I was doing this derivation, I mentioned that we are making transition from this equation to this equation just to make our computation easy.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So so this equation is nothing but this is a simplified notation of this equation. Because we wanted to get rid of the summation sign, that is why I've represented as W transpose X greater than 0.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the answer is true. Okay, now this is an algorithm part. But if you think carefully on this algorithm part, you must be thinking that what is happening actually when I'm adding this W with X, and what will happen if I'll do W minus X? What is there what is something that is happening in the backend which is helping me to move toward convergence, right? So this is, so for that I have one layer deeper analysis to share. And this analysis, if you're not able to understand, it is perfectly fine. This is not really required to understand any higher level concept, but just for the sake of your curiosity and the sake of completeness, I'm explaining this. Okay. So what did I mention in the previous class? W dot X is nothing but hypothesis of perceptron. Agree or not?
Yes.
Right. Now,
Hmm.
W dot X means what? W dot X means the dot product, right? And A dot B is what? Mod of A into mod of B into cos theta, where theta is the angle between vector A and B. Do you agree with this expression?
Yeah.
So what you can do, you can write cos theta as W dot X divided by mod of W into mod of X.
Yeah. So it is a formula of cosine similarity between two vectors. Right?
Correct, correct. This is nothing but the cosine similarity of two vectors, right? Now, this is going to be always positive because this is the mod. We are taking the absolute value, right? So I can write cos theta is proportional to W dot X,
Yeah.
right? Mod of W is always greater than 0. Mod of X is always greater than 0 because we are taking the absolute value. Okay. Now, this is the interesting point here. If my cos theta is greater than 0, right? If my cos theta is positive, this means what? My W dot X is always is also positive, right? And if my cos theta is positive, that means what? My theta will be between 0 and 90 degree. That means what? My theta will be acute angle. If my cos theta is negative, that means what? If this part is negative, that means what? This part also has to be negative, right? So W dot X will also have to be negative. And if my cos theta is negative, that means what? My angle is always greater than 90 degree. That means what? The angle is obtuse angle between two vectors. Is this concept clear?
Yes.
Zara, is this concept clear to you?
Yes, yes, Ashutosh.
Okay. Now let us take the first case. Let us take the first case when I have randomly chosen a point which is having my actual target value as 1, right? But my model says that it has to be what? It has to be 0. That means what? That means actually I am looking for the acute angle. But as per my computation, it says that it is obtuse angle, right? For x that belongs to P, if W dot X is less than 0, it means that the angle alpha, the angle between my W and X, alpha is the angle between W and X, right, is greater than 0. But what we want it to be acute angle, right? Why we want it to be acute angle? Because in that case only my cos theta, which is equal to W dot X, it will be positive, right? So what adjustment we can make so that my current geometry, which is saying that right now the angle between W and X is obtuse angle, it will approach toward acute angle. That adjustment will happen if we will add X to it, right? How that adjustment will happen, I'll come to it a bit later. I mean, after a couple of minutes. But till this point, do you agree with me? Are you with me? Any
Yes.
thought, any doubt you're having, any confusion, slight misunderstanding, let me know. Soumya, are you clear about this?
So I have one question.
Mhm.
So W into X is less than 0. So can you go to previous slide?
Yes.
W, the theta would be obtuse angle.
Correct. Theta would be obtuse angle. But actually, it should be acute angle because this P is having target variable as 1. Right?
Yeah, cos 0 is 1. Right. Okay. So it should be acute angle.
It should be acute angle, but as per my present geometry, as per my present calculation, the model says that it should be an obtuse angle, which is the cause for misclassification. So we have to make certain adjustment which will push my current swing of model obtuse angle to somewhat closer to acute angle.
Yes, got it. Yeah.
Okay. So just to make that push, what we are doing is we are adding x here. Now, how adding x to my existing w is moving my current geometry from obtuse angle to acute angle, that we're gonna see. Let me do some annotation here. So let's say this is my x-axis, this is my, okay. So this is my acute angle, right? This is my acute angle. But right now, model is saying that my algorithm is saying that it is an obtuse angle. Now, I need to make certain adjustments such that model's computation moves toward acute angle side, right? In other words, what I want, my angle that is between my x and w, it should reduce. Are you agree with me? If I manage to reduce my alpha, I will be approaching toward my correct classification, right? The angle alpha should decrease. And now I'm going to show how this angle alpha will decrease if by adding x. Okay. So now look at this expression, cos alpha nu. If I add this w plus x, my alpha will change. So cos alpha nu is proportional to w nu transpose into x. This is nothing but it is coming straight from here, right? So if my weight will change, obviously the angle will also change, right? So I'm saying that my new alpha, my new angle is alpha nu, right? And my w got changed, so I'm saying that the new w is now w nu, right? And what is my new w plus x, right? Putting this value here. If I have to open this bracket, w transpose x plus x transpose x, right? Let me remove this annotation. Okay. Now, till this point, any confusion?
No.
Okay. Now, what is happening is this new cos theta, this new cos theta is greater than old cos theta, because obviously one extra term is coming here, which will be always positive. This x transpose x will be always positive, right? Let me tell you how. Let's say that I'm having a vector 2, 2. Out of this, 1 is minus 2. Okay. If I do x transpose into x, what it will be? 2 minus 2. If you will solve this, what will be the output?
8, 9.
4
4 plus 4.
4, 8. Yes. right? So X transpose into X, it will always give you positive, a positive vector of single element, right? So this cos alpha nu is greater than cos alpha, right? Right, because see, in the right hand side you are having cos alpha. If you are adding certain quantity in cos alpha to make it equivalent to cos alpha nu, right?
Yes.
So cos alpha nu is greater than cos alpha. If cos alpha nu is greater than cos alpha, that means alpha nu will decrease. It will less than alpha. If cos alpha nu is greater than cos alpha, alpha nu will be smaller than alpha.
Right.
Right. That means what?
Because
We have managed to reduce the angle between X and W. Right. So this process we have to keep on doing until this alpha become acute. So with every update, that angle will reduce, right? And it will keep on reducing until it has reached to an acute angle. Is it clear? Zara, is it clear to you?
Yeah, yes, Ashutosh.
Awesome. So this is the geometrical interpretation of your perceptron learning model. The same fundamental goes for the another case, the another misclassification case, where you actually randomly picked a point whose actual target label was 0, but your model says that it should be 1. Right? This means what? Actually, it should be an obtuse angle, but as per your model calculation, it says that it should be an acute angle, right? So in that case, you need to increase the value of alpha. You have to move from acute angle side to obtuse angle, right? So for doing that, we update W by subtraction of W and X. This is just a reverse concept of this thing. Right? So here you will see that this cos alpha nu is smaller than cos alpha. That means what? Alpha increases. Alpha is greater than alpha nu is greater than alpha. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take a pause here. I